right, welcome to Unleash the Potential. I'm here with Vince Malts and John Morea. Really pumped up. We got some really exciting news for the South Jersey area and I guess all around there as well. But before we get into the exciting news, we're going to talk a little bit about how Vinny and John got together, met a little bit. I love these guys, so we're just going to go from there.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, it was interesting. We ended up coaching, of all places. We got together at a Pee Wee tournament, and up in Toronto. So we were doing that. It was pretty funny. I'm like spending time in the hotel with them for a couple of days. It's interesting, right? When you spend time with somebody alone the first couple of days, and it's like that day one is kind of like feeling each other out, talking, all that stuff. And I felt like by day two, it was like we were off and running.
Yeah. A lot of 08s. We didn't win a game either.
No.
But we were the most improved team.
Yes, we were. We were the MIP.
Well, that's what counts. It's development. It's always about development.
Yes, it is. Amen to that. Especially at the youth level, especially. But with that group, it was fun.
So with the tournament, did you guys So was it just a weekend thing, or was there more kind of going on there, or what was
it was a weekend.
Yeah, weekend thing. Yeah. It was basically like they do they call it a Hall of Fame event, and basically it's all set up where they bring kids together, and then they do like a draft to see where they put them. So it's literally not like you're coming in there with your own team.
Right.
You're coming in there, and then a bunch of people are deciding where you're going to play.
Right.
So no one has a clue who belongs with who and all that stuff. So it's like throw the dice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We had a kid from Sweden on our team.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. And guys, what kind of brought you guys together? What was the it factor that said, you know what, I like this guy?
Yeah.
I would say Vinny's not a politician. So I think that's when I was like, you know what, I kind of like this guy. He's not afraid to tell it how it is. And the truth hurts, right? No one likes the truth. And he was just blasting it and didn't care. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think I like him, yeah. I like this guy.
That's awesome.
He was just blasting it with a smile,
right?
And using words as his weapon. So I was like, all right, I think I could learn from him. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, same. It's felt the energy of just the honesty. Like I just, it was like one of those things where I feel like right now it's like we're getting married. When I started looking at him, I was like, this is awkward.
No looking in the eyes. Just look in the eyes.
But it's that the big thing, right, that we've talked about is I believe very much in the 300 theory, right? I'd rather be surrounded by people that are just straight up strong, get it, want to be honest, no bullshit and all that stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, my experience and what I went through because of the other side of bullshit that I wasn't good at, and it's okay. I learned a lot through that by making a lot of mistakes, but I also learned through that now my conviction is I want to be surrounded by those type of people. And the more and more I can be surrounded by it, the more and more we fuel each other and the more it feels better. And that's the first thing I noticed with him was there's no bullshit here. Right. And you just right away, right? You feel that street thing, you feel that energy of like that strength on top. You just know it's like, yeah, that's the kind of guy. Like that's what I want to chill with, hang out with, and yeah, let's be boys.
Right.
So, it's hard to find that. Right. It's hard to find that, especially in this industry, right? Because there's so many people kissing ass and doing what needs to be done to try to make it and all that stuff. And when I had those awakenings and realized it was the other side of it is, okay, well, you can play that game, right? But we're gonna go over here and play this game,
right.
And you know that, right? Why I deal with you and all that stuff, it's the same exact thing. Right. I don't it's very particular of the energy management, very particular of who you deal with, and he's as straight shooter as they come and as good of a guy as they come. So it's like, yep.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, and I think, and that's huge. And how is that? Because for both of you guys, like you've been extremely successful with the guys that you've worked with, and from a development standpoint in any way, and just how guys feel about you. Every guy that you guys worked with and the guys that I know, like they just feel very strongly about you. So like, what is it? how do you think that plays in? Like, I mean, listen, obviously I can think of a couple ways, but
Sure, yeah.
but like, how do you guys like? So, John, kind of come with you.
I think if you ask 50 different people, you're gonna get 50 different answers. That's the type of personalities me and him have. So, you know, it's subjective, right? All depends on the person. But I mean, it all comes down to the individual, and that's where I really like locked into what he was trying to say. I know people might think like, oh, he's crazy, like, but if you listen and really pay attention,
right.
It's like coming in here. Like if you really try to absorb what you're trying to teach,
right.
you will get something, and that's how I feel about what I do. It's like, you know, for the non-negotiables, or like for me, the first thing is curiosity and openness. If you don't have that, you're not going to make it anywhere. Forget about hockey. You're not going to make it anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
If you don't have that openness. Because at some point you may be, you know, you could be a big fish in a little pond,
right.
but when you get to a big pond, you're just a little fish.
Right.
And no one really understands that until they realize it, and they're like, oh no, what do I do now?
Exactly.
Go back home where I'm comfortable. My mom and dad tell me how great I am.
Right.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Now I want to tell you, I know for me it's huge. Like, touching on the openness, you got to be committed. You just, and by committed I don't mean like showing up, because that's step one, and that's part of it. But it's actually like you need to actually do what I say and literally live what I say, right? Because if you don't do that, then you're not getting the full piece of it. So I'm 100% with you, man. Openness is just, if you're not ready to do it, it's just gonna be a waste of time. It's just gonna be a total waste of time.
Bingo. And to bring it back to that point with you guys of like how you connected, right? Of like where one of the things that I've discovered of what I think of what brings those type of players to, you know, our culture and all that stuff, and why they're buying in so much, is because they see it's like, oh, this isn't a coach that's just telling me to go do it. This is a coach that's actually doing it, right? They're seeing progression happening and what happens with bloodline or whatever it is. Or they see like, hey, you know what? Oh, he was doing this type of movement and now it's like gone to this, right? It's still being a part of their playground, right. And still showing them, hey, I'm in the hole with you.
Absolutely, right.
I'm still in the hole with you. I'm not just gonna sit there and tell you what to do and be a slob and all that stuff and scream at you and all that stuff. No, I'm gonna tell you what I'm good at, what's happening, how I'm developing, but I'm also gonna show you my weaknesses and show you like, I'm not perfect. I gotta figure it out just as much as everybody else. But the difference is I'm working to figure it out. And if you work on it, you can do the same thing. And that honesty is really important. The curiosity and all that stuff, it's huge. It's huge. But that's the other side that players want, is they also want the honesty. They want to know like, hey, is this information actually real? Is this just, because in the age of information, there's so much stuff online. You go online, right? There's so much crap that's online to learn from and read, right? And there's tons of people competing with each other to listen to what I'm saying. And you'll do this. The irony, what so many players don't realize is, you're listening to a bunch of people that don't know how to do what they're doing.
Right.
Because if they did listen to the way they talk, you would hear it. You'd hear it in their tone, in the way they talk about it, the way they express it. There's a different thing that people who know the path, right, versus the people who think they know the path. People who know, when you listen to them, you go, that person knows.
Right.
And that was a big thing, right? That he knows, you know. Like, it's like, you know. Like, there's that thing that connects us all, that you could just hear it and go, that person knows. And that's what players, they can't pinpoint it, right? Because they're immature, they're still young, they're still figuring out, they haven't seen enough, they're still scared of, well, this coach, I can't say to this. There's still that fear factor that's there, the normal human thing, right? Like, there's just authority and all that stuff. Right. But they feel something's different about this person. And that part, right? Like, something's like, wow, this person doesn't have the normal thing that every other adult, when they talk to me, it feels like they're bullshitting me. But this feels like, it's like, wow, that doesn't sound like bullshit for some reason. They don't know what it is, right, but they feel it. And that's the whole play for that feeling and all that stuff. It's like, you feel it.
Well, so we've had this talk before, and I think it's interesting to kind of touch on. So like, you had an interesting past, right? Mm-hmm. So do you want to kind of touch on how you kind of developed into, when you're working with players, how you've used like your ability from knowing what it's like to have the game performance piece not down necessarily yet, right?
Yeah.
To what you've taken it to now, and how you kind of reflected it back into the players.
Yeah, exactly. A big example was, when I got injured, right? So here I was, ended up going and get drafted and all that stuff, and I'm on top of the world, right? And then I go get injured, bust my ankle up and all that stuff. But before the injury happened, I got cocky. I thought, I got to figure it out now. Here we go. Here we go. Big time, Bobby big time, all that stuff, right? And I know, so that summer, hanging out, the parties, you got drafted, all that stuff, having a good time, all that bullshit. And then when the season started, right away before camp, I go, my back gets pulled out, so now I can't go to Vancouver's camp. And then as soon as my back gets pulled out, the first game back, 10 minutes into the first, so I was out for the first 6 games. First game back, my ankle, boom. And that was pretty much, after that, it was like, okay, done, trying to come back and all that, right? So getting to that point, what happened at that point was I didn't know how I got to the point of being successful. I didn't know how I became so good. I just knew I loved playing, and I worked very hard at it, and I was surrounded by the right environment. I was in an environment that, Claude Julien as my coach, you're playing major junior, top junior league in the world, so you've got a lot of NHL now, so you're around all the top people that it bred me into it because it was a product of my environment, and you got in line and you did it. I didn't actually know how I did it. Once I got injured, now the path began of, it's my skating, it's my shot, it's my this, it's my... So I went down that path first of, it's all these things that I got to zone in on, right? And it couldn't be further from the truth of no, it wasn't just skating alone. It wasn't just shooting like players today. They'll shoot 500 pucks. If I just keep shooting 500 pucks, my shot's going to become good. No, that's not what it is. So as time went on, I went through it and made mistakes, how I managed, if one coach was a great guy, I went through a wall. If the coach at the pro level was an asshole, I just wanted to go fight the guy. And I would say stuff to teammates, and I'd make it known and show you're, which was stupid, right? Because at the end of the day, if I wanted to play in the NHL, what are you doing? These guys, they control your ice time, they control everything. What are you doing? And then complaining to other guys, it's negativity and all that. So I learned from that, of going through those and making the mistakes and realizing you're an idiot, to then eventually where it dawned on me after one of the seasons, it was like a crazy experience for me where I go walking into the locker room to go talk to the coach at the end of the year, and I think the coach has been in the NHL a couple times. That's another craziness of all the guys that I played for in the minors, how they're in the NHL. But he goes to me and he says, he's a French guy, Marty Raymond, he goes, "Well, Vince, I was very surprised. Come in. I didn't realize how many guys hate your guts on this team." And I was just like, what? It was what? Because it was one of my worst years of injuries. I literally busted both shoulders, right? Ended up having with my ankle, literally it was wow, I don't know how many games I had that season, but I just kept getting injured over and over again. Couldn't explain why. Don't know what happened, what was going on at all. But from that year, guys on the team, had somebody that was a roommate that ended up turning around, and he filled heads, right? We didn't have a great relationship, which is fine. Right. Filled heads with all these ideas on the team. And next thing you know, he's faking the injuries. Oh, wow. And so it was what? So it was like everything else, extremist, needed those crazy things to happen, right, to have a bat across that and go, wow. And so after having that conversation with him and how could they think that, right? To then turn around, it was just realized after that season, went, spent some time, was able to get away, was out in California, was able to get in the mountains, and really search. And that's when it dawned on me of, it's me. That was my first experience with, it's me. Everything that I'm doing, it's what energy am I putting out? What do I want? How am I behaving? And that was my first aha moment of okay, it's enough. It's me and how I'm handling situations and stuff like that, and how I'm dealing, how I'm thinking about things, how I'm processing it. And that's when that journey began, of where then it turned into eventually realizing as a performance coach where you got to make plays, right? Where so many players get caught up in now is that they're so stuck in, they think it's one thing, it's just my shot, and if I just shoot pucks, or if it's my stick handling, if I just do this one move and I go through cones, I'm going to eventually be able to play. And it's no, it's so much more complex yet simple at the same time. It's knowing who you are as a player and digging into that, because that's the toughest thing to do, I think, as a human being, is to really know yourself and admit to yourself, this is who I am, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not good at, and that's the name of the game. And so when I finally, in that, I was 26 at the time, when I finally understood that, that was the beginning of the next 14, 15 years of figuring it out and going down this journey. 14,
That
15
was the
years.
of the next 14.
And that's the point, right? It's like decades,
Process.
right? It's a process, and it takes years, years. And we're always learning. We talk about this all the time of like, but it was the commitment at that time of that realization, right? And that's that becoming self-aware. When we talk about non-negotiables, right? Of like, that's a big one of the skill of becoming self-aware is the equivalent of skating in hockey. If you don't know how to skate, you're gonna only have so much in your ability to play at a certain level in today's game. You have to be able to move on the ice. It's just non-negotiable. Same thing with mental performance game. Becoming self-aware, that's just non-negotiable in terms of.
So not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I thought the mental performance side was just that you're broken.
Isn't that the truth? That's the biggest misconception, right? It's one piece to it. It's one piece to it of that broken feeling.
Right.
And what people don't realize is the broken feeling is nothing more than it's a product of if I go do drugs or I go drink, I'm gonna feel like shit, right? I'm gonna be broken because of I did something, experienced something that made me feel that way.
Right.
The system does the same thing to players. The system breaks them down like a bad, toxic, poisonous drug or something that you put in your body.
Right.
I treat you like garbage. I don't show you love. I don't educate you on the proper habits, the proper behavior. You don't see me doing it. So in the meantime, you don't know why, but I annoy you because I yell at you all the time, but I'm a sloppy mess myself, and I scream at you, and I treat you like garbage,
Right.
and it's like, you don't know why. So it's this whole system of toxic poison that these players get fed. And then, oh, I'm messed up. I need work. I need somebody to work on my mindset. And it's like, it couldn't be further from the truth. It has nothing to do with, like, the one thing I always point out, right? It's like, okay, you show me something that someone that feels great physically,
Right.
and that makes good choices mentally, right? That feels emotionally a mess.
Right.
Let's show me where that exists. If you have everything aligned of what you need to physically do, of eating right, getting enough rest, feeling strong, doing all the things that take care of your vehicle, plus you know how to make good decisions mentally, right? That's the mental piece. Okay, now show me who emotionally feels like an absolute disaster.
Right. So basically you're coming back to like a vision, right?
Mhm.
That you understand what your purpose is, what you're focused in on, what you're supposed to be doing. Is that kind of is what you get, or is that?
Yeah, you have to know who you are.
Right.
You have to know who you are as a performer. Mentally, like the biggest part, right, that players struggle with is not understanding what their own process is, right? Not understanding that, okay, if I go out and I just went last night and had a good time with my friends, right? Or I played video games all night till 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up in the morning and I feel exhausted. And now I go about my day and I'm not ready to perform and I'm not ready to play. Can I look at that and go, it's because I stayed up till 3 o'clock playing video games. It's because I hung out with my friends that I shouldn't have hung out so late. I shouldn't have drank that. I shouldn't have smoked that. I shouldn't have done this. Can you look at yourself and go, if this is the level I want to achieve, can I look at myself and go, that's not a good behavior. I got to change that behavior because I want to be at this level, right? Because that's the non-negotiable part. And we geek out on this all the time. And I'd love to hear your views on that too, of like, that vision is so important, right? Of where that's what changed when we talk all the time, like for us, right? We're like street rats. But that's what changed for us is when we made a choice, we made the decision of like, we want to be at this level. That made everything go fast because now it's like, it's not negotiable now, right? We're at the tournament, we hung out, okay? We're at the restaurant, have a beer, we're out. We're going back to the room, we're done. The other guys, having a good time, yeah, and it's all good.
Right.
Not judging them at all.
Right.
But the philosophy is, no, but for us, it's, we want to be the best in the game at what we do.
Right.
And there's limited choices to when that happens. If you know that, if that's your vision, that's what you want to be,
Right.
then your behavior is really limited to what you have. Because this is just the way it is. Like, There is no, you have to do these things to take care of yourself and commit to them. And by holding that vision and knowing that this is it, you're able to start trusting the process and realize, well, this is just what I committed to. And it's okay that you want to be good. Hey, you want to be good, go cool. I want to be the best. Right. That's a totally different scale. But when you know that, when you know that's what you want, now you start to look at your behaviors and you can clean it up and know what you need to do. And that's the difficult part of mental performance. That's the part. That's the driving engine. Is in the beginning, you can't just fix everything right away. But you got to look at your life and go, okay, my eating, okay, has to get better. I'm going to work on that for a couple months. Oh, the way I play on the ice, the decisions I make, yep, got to work on that. That might take a couple years. Right? Each segment takes time. But are you looking at it, paying attention every day, knowing I'm getting it a little better. I'm getting it a little better and figuring out, right, how to make it better and what I need to do. This is working, that's not working. That's the everyday process of mental performance, is you're always paying attention to yourself and seeing how it works.
That's awesome stuff, man. It's powerful. Because I think that so many times when I talk to people about the different side of, what is bloodline hockey, I feel like they don't understand. It's not that you're broken. You're not broken. Or even like when I do assessments on guys, I'm like, all right, well, here's the balance. Here's where you're out of balance a little bit. So we need to do a little bit of work here. You're not broken, right? Like you just need a little more dorsiflexion. You know, we just need to tuck your hips so you actually have that movement. You're not broken. You just need to work on it. You need to progress, and it's one of the parts that it's one of the parts that drives me insane, because I was like, all right, so like, how do you fix? Can you fix me? I'm like, it's not about being fixed. Everybody has their own. There's a certain level they're gonna have to what they do.
You have to update. I like to call it update.
Yeah,
right?
new version. 3.2.
That's it.
4.0.
We gotta fix the bugs. We're gonna fix the bugs and update. You're out.
Right.
We're gonna update you. It's the same thing with thinking. It's hard for people because for years we just thought saying something as simple as work harder, go be physical. We fell into thinking that that's enough, right? For years. The quotes, right? You read all the quotes. All the quotes, those are great quotes, right? That's what people fall into, of thinking they don't appreciate that. No, the same way you just talked about how we're going to fix the dorsiflexion, we're going to work on it, is the same exact thing with thinking. You've got to update your thinking. If you're saying you want to play in the NHL, if you're saying you want to play Division I, okay, then what does that mean in your day-to-day lifestyle, in your process, how you view? Oh, coach is an idiot. Okay, you can think coach is an idiot, or you can think, I don't know what's going on in coach's life. You know what? I need more information from coach. You can think like that, right? Or you can go think coach is an idiot. Good luck with that mindset. Good luck. But that's the attitude, right? That you can work on changing, and it takes time. Right? In the beginning, you might think coach is an idiot, but if you work on it after 6-7 weeks, you can stop thinking coach is an idiot. And that is like the dorsiflexion of, it's that thinking right there.
Exactly.
That's the thing. If we can fix your point of view on that, now we can start to work more on your game and other stuff. But if your point of view, right? My point of view was shit when I was younger like that.
Yeah.
That was.
That's a good point, but you could still think your coach is an idiot, but don't create an antagonistic relationship, because this is your work environment. This is how you're going to get more playing time. If the coach he thinks you don't like him and he thinks you're fighting him, well, guess what? You're going to get shafted.
Right.
So, keep your thoughts to yourself. You may not think your coach is the smartest guy, but you don't have to, still respect him, because then he's not going to pay attention to you.
And that's the difficulty, right?
Yeah.
Keep your thoughts to yourself.
Yeah.
That's the resistance, because most people just.
Well, you gotta learn how to, you gotta learn how to work with people that you don't like.
Right.
That's just the reality of life. Whenever you go try to get a job or do something else, there's gonna be people that you like and people that you don't like. But if you want to get to the top, you're gonna have to learn to work with the people that you don't like. It's easy to work with people that you like, right? I could sit here with him, I like him, and I like you, but try sitting here with two guys that I don't like, without pounding them. That's self-awareness. That's, and then if I can sit here and have a conversation for an hour with two guys that I don't like, well, now we're getting somewhere.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah, that's the part that I think that a lot of times, and it's funny, I actually did a quick story on this yesterday. And it just comes back. The whole thing of it basically is just control what you can control. And I know you're always saying that. It's just there's just no point in worrying about what is going to happen if this person does that or that person does this or whatever the situation is. Just control what you can control. What you can control is your development. Everything else is just like whatever. So like you like you were saying, John, like me saying the coach sucks and this and that and creating that cancer in the locker room or whatever it is, you're just increasing the situation for yourself to be not increasing, but you're making the situation worse for yourself because you're creating toxicity and you're definitely not getting out of it. Where listen, you have a conversation with the coach and hopefully he responds properly with you, because there are some coaches that just there's plenty. They don't know how to communicate, right?
There's plenty, right? That's with coaching, right? This is the part we talk about all the time. Is it's the same issue with coaching, right? This was a big reason why when coaches, right? When I was done and I was like, all right, I'm going to go start doing bloodline. I had good, legit organizations coming to me and say, hey, you want to coach a team? You want to coach a team? I implemented 3 rules because I knew control what you can control. Right. So I knew at that time, here's my rules that I'm putting in place, right? Want to be able to control the staff because I learned. I'm like, no way am I working with somebody I don't know anymore. Right. Just not going to happen, right? Right? Want to be able to control personnel? No, I don't care that kid might be a Division I player. Right. If it doesn't fit our culture, you can't have it in the room. I just know it doesn't work. Right. I've had no issues a bit, but I've experienced that before of saying to Division I players, it's not going to fit, right? And control the schedule. I had wiggle room on the schedule, but I didn't have wiggle room on the other stuff. Right. The moment I brought up the rules, well, we can't do this, we can't. Okay, right. Then I'm not coaching. Why? Because I always knew in the environment, I didn't want to deal with those 5 or 6 players that were going to create that angst in you, because it's not just the players, it's the parents too. Right. Well, I don't understand, why my little Joey and blah, blah, blah. You don't understand. Okay, I've talked to the kid, I've shown him video, I've done everything, held him accountable, sent him texts for 3 weeks straight, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't do the work. Doesn't do the work. So you can't blame me for something he chooses he doesn't want to do. Right. He doesn't have it. That's why I always look at, as a developer, I'd rather take a kid, right, that might have a little less talent, but is willing to work, especially when they're younger. Because you can mold a lot moving forward that wants to work. That's the beauty of today. There is plenty of solutions now to teach anybody, right? But age is age. Like if you get them a little too late, well, you're going to be limited. You can still do a lot of great things, but you're going to be limited to how much you can change. But if you get them younger, there's a lot you can change. Right. And that's the difference of controlling what you can control, is knowing where are you developing that skill of being aware. That's why becoming self-aware is so important, right? Non-negotiable. Right. Another non-negotiable is identifying your strengths and challenges. Right? You want to know, well, what am I good at as a coach? What am I going to be able to deal with? All that stuff. What's my challenges that I can't deal with? You know what? Or that I know that over the course of a season, right? It's going to be a stressful season, all that stuff. It's going to weigh on me. At some point, it's going to get to me. At some point, dealing with you and your questions as a parent and questioning why stuff isn't going on, you're going to get to me, because in the heat of the moment in December and January, when those guys need to be uplifted and kid just doesn't care and just doesn't want it because lots of schoolwork, lots of other things going on, girlfriend, all this other stuff. I get it. Like it's all good, but you're stressing me out because your kid's stressing you out, and that's not fair.
Well, it comes back to openness, right? Non-negotiable number 1, right? Like, openness. If you're not, like, if by December you still don't get what we're doing here,
exactly, then
you're not a part of the puzzle. Yeah. And no matter how good your kid is or whatever the situation is, I can't get the team to work like they're supposed to work, right?
Exactly. And as a younger coach, again, I sucked at that. I sucked at managing that, of understanding that. Like you said, right? It's like went through the stages, and you know that of like when I was younger, there was no thoughtfulness behind it. There was just raw energy of I'm right, you're wrong, rah, that's it. and then when I finally, the irony is of the mindset development, all that stuff is like, wow, what an idiot. I really don't know anything. And that was the coolest part about it. I don't know. I don't know how you feel day to day and what's going on and the challenges that you're struggling with. I don't know how he feels and what he has to go through. I don't know what that person on the other side is, the experiences that you have to learn and get through. I don't know. But together we can learn to figure out, hey, well, here's what I know about myself, and here's what I know that I messed up on and that I didn't do, and here's what I know can work for you if you're open to it and the idea. Right. And that's like rocket fuel. When self-awareness, and you start to simplify, that's another non-negotiable, simplifying my game and realizing, okay, these are the 3-4 things I'm going to focus on every day. Once you do that, it's rocket fuel. Because you wake up every day, no matter how you feel that day, you have purpose. You have direction. You know, this is what I committed to. These are my things. That's it. This is what I know I'm going to do. When you know what you're going to do versus what you think you have to do, you're already ahead of 98% of what's out there of athletes. Because even the good players don't know what they're doing. Like, they don't know how they're producing and how they're good. They're just good.
Right.
Especially at the youth level, you get a ton of that. Right? They're just good. He's good. But when you get to Division I, you get to the NHL or higher, all that stuff, you have to know your process. Because you could be very good and you're going to be a fourth liner in the NHL. And you're very good by standards. You're good.
Right.
But in the NHL, you have to be this kind of good if you want to play and have a role in the NHL. And that is why self-awareness and all that stuff, because if you don't realize and simplify it and go, well, this is the level I want to be at, can your ego handle, well, you're going to be on the fourth line. Right. I know for me, that was a struggle. When the coach said to me, he's like, I see you as a third line guy in the NHL. What? What? Idiot. He just said, you third line guy in the NHL, you're an idiot. That's youth.
What would you do to be a third line guy in the NHL right now?
Exactly.
Wish that offer was still on the table.
Exactly.
Go back.
But that's the reason why, right? Of like, the faster you understand who you are, the faster you get through the BS of who you think you are, the faster you take off in life, right? That's why mental performance, that's why I'm such an advocate, and I try to hammer away at it, right? Because it's a necessity in today's world. It's not a matter of, do I do it? It's a matter of, do you see what's going on with technology, right? You look at what Google has done with the algorithms. You look at what Facebook has done with the algorithm, Amazon. They know how to manipulate you. They know it's a science. It's a behavioral science that they've spent time invested with all these people 1,000 times as a groupthink, smarter than anything we're going to imagine combined. And they've learned how to manipulate you using a simple computer on how to do that and all that stuff.
Well, it's funny because, like, for me, when I it's like TikTok, right?
Great example right now.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
It's crack.
It is crack. I'm gonna, like, for me,
It's digital crack.
Well, because the problem is you can go viral so quickly.
Yeah.
So quickly you go viral.
Yeah.
Like, some of the stuff, like, there's one video that I posted, got like 2,000 views. I'm like, there's no. But the point is, I can't even use it because if I go on to do my own thing, like actual business stuff,
You get
I end up stuck for 2 hours because I'm watching this damn thing.
Bingo.
It is, dude. It is insane. It is
Bingo.
insane. I don't want to use it, even though it could be great.
Bingo.
I'm afraid to use it because I know it crushes my life.
Bingo.
2 hours of my life is wasted.
Bingo. And that's why self-awareness, right there, right? That's exactly a great example.
Right.
That if I know that, am I putting strategies in place of, I know how I am with TikTok like that,
Right.
right? Like Marissa will get sucked into the vortex too,
Right.
and I just laugh at it. And I go, for me, I put a rule in place with all that stuff.
Right.
I have a 10-minute rule. I'll sit there and it's like, okay, I fell into it. I'm like, in 10 minutes, I just stop. It's over. Done. I'm out. Because I just know, it's just a rule that no matter what, I give myself max. If I want to just sit in there and in the day, something, you know what, I just need to kind of let my mind loose, whatever it is. I go surfing, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But my body's now conditioned. In the beginning, maybe it was 20 minutes, 25, just like, and shook it off, right?
Get back to work.
Yeah. But now that I have the 10-minute rule,
Right.
I rarely even get sucked into the 10-minute vortex. Because I just know. I'll go on, I'll look at a couple posts, okay, respond, get out.
Right.
It's 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Because I know. Like that, because it's exactly what it is. That behavior, like, you have to be aware of, that's what it's designed for.
Right.
It's designed to do that. Sugar tastes good, man.
All
Woo!
day, right.
Those Swedish fish, those Sour Patch Kids.
Right.
TikTok. Whoo! Nom, 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 nom. Yeah, doesn't mean it's good for you.
Right.
Like, seeing all that stuff, like, especially as a hockey player who needs to focus deeply on the team and everything that's going on, and you have to think fast and be united in thought and all that stuff. You know how hard that is? That's why when you're TikToking and doing all this stuff and your brain is doing this all day and it's all over the place,
Right.
that's why you can't, when you're playing, focus on a simple freaking play.
Right.
Got players that can't I don't know why I want to keep cutting in the middle. Are you working on it or not? I know it sounds simple, right? That's to simplify my game. I know it sounds so simple, doesn't it? But are you every day doing your reps?
Right.
Doing your reps, vision, watching video. Are you mentally doing the reps that are required so this brain isn't TikToking and sugaring and all that stuff? It's knowing like, yep, no, I'm committed to this. No brain, no, this has to happen. This is non-negotiable.
Right.
That's mental performance in a nutshell in today's world. Because you're not going to beat science and a bunch of people that this is their job of how to manipulate your mind.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat them. So don't even try. The only thing you can do is control what you can control. Okay. I can throw it.
Right.
Turn it off. Airplane mode. Whatever. I was going to toss it. I'm like,
Yeah.
would have been a fun effect. But that is truly the point. Is like, put the phone. Had it at a time where I was like, hey, I'm going to put my alarm all the way over there, so I have to get out of bed because in the morning it was tough for me to get out. I'm like, oh, I'll just sleep a little bit more. When the alarm was next to me, I would go turn it off. Then I realized, no, I'm going to put it over there.
Right.
I'm going to put it so I have to walk up, get up, and turn it off.
Right.
The moment I did that behavior and changed it, it was nothing but 10, 15 feet.
Right.
The moment I did that, I started waking up. Now I'm waking up, great. Now I don't have to put it over there anymore. Now I have it next to, it's not on the table, but it's next to, but I wake up and I'm fine. Did what I needed to get my mind away from the easy habit of, right, going into the freaking vortex. That's mental performance.
That's awesome.
And it takes time. Can't get strong physically if you don't every day or 3-4 days.
Well, it's the basic principle of overload, right?
Mm-hmm.
The basic principle of overload is if you want to get stronger, but if you want to get better, if you want to continue to develop your skills, you have to challenge. If you're not challenging, it's just that's it. It's like from like a skating perspective, like I know for me, I gotta well, great, you could do these drills great, right? But now I change up a couple things, right? Like Josh, how do you kind of work that stuff? Is that like a part of your in your techniques? Like how do you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think my problem is trying to tone it down. So that's what I've been battling like since I started is like toning it down. So it's always been like too difficult. Every program I worked with or organization, it was always kind of like, it's too much. So trying to find a way where you could start simple and then maybe add on, because I do believe that you got to be a little bit out of your comfort zone.
Right.
When everything is easy, well, you're not going to really get better that way. But at some points, you got to go out a little bit. Maybe not too much, because you don't want to have a practice full of things that you can't do.
Right.
That's just going to crush your confidence, and it's even worse result. But a little bit, yeah. And then you come back down to the easy thing, and now the easy thing is even easier.
Right.
So you definitely gotta push it. I always say like contenders or pretenders. Which one are you? That's what self-awareness is also. It's the same thing.
Right.
You make up those two categories. Well, 8 hours of sleep, contender. 5 hours because you were playing video games, pretender.
Right.
You're a pretender. It's as simple as that.
So,
Mm-hmm.
And that carries you all the way to whatever you want to do. If it's to play in the NHL, those habits. But yeah, that's the openness though. That's that like leave your ego at the door and have an open mind, curiosity. If you don't have that, it's going to be hard to step in there and do things that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
Dorsiflex, you never heard it, so now you're intimidated.
Right.
Now you want to go back to your old trainer that makes you lift, right? Go back to your ways that are comfortable.
Right.
So, but you can't grow that way. It's just not going to work. When we talk about that, like big fish, little pond.
Right.
Little fish, big pond. Now what do you do? Right? Like plans are great. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the nose. Well, now what?
Right.
Quit. I mean, I've quit. He's quit. So I think that's why we kind of understand that process of how not to be in that position, where you just pack it in.
Well, that's the easiest thing to do, right? Because that's the whole thing with challenges.
You're always going to resort to what you know.
yeah. And it's human nature, right? Easy is human nature. We want it to feel easy.
Right.
That's the irony of why do I go work out in the gym? Why do I work on my skills? Because I want to get it to the point where it just feels easy.
Right.
I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to have to work at it anymore. I just want to do it.
Well, that's what the best is, right?
Right.
When you're the best, it's
That's
easy.
it.
You
But
don't
the
think
irony
about
of But the irony of easy is the difficulty of getting to that
Right.
point. That's the
That's
irony
a
of
good point,
easy,
yeah.
right? Like it's like you're trying to make it feel easy,
Right.
but the feeling of easy takes a crazy amount of difficult, and that is what people don't realize, right? Because how many people are willing to go through the difficult? How many people are willing to go? The difficult is, it's scary, it's not comfortable.
Right.
I don't want to do that shit. That's
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what I always say too, is like true confidence comes at a point in someone's life when there's no reason to be confident. You have zero reason to be confident. That's when you find true confidence. Anyone can be confident when you're on the first line,
Right.
putting up 2 goals a game. Yeah, of course you'll be confident. What about when that's not the situation? Maybe coach doesn't see you that way. Maybe you're on the 4th line. Now what?
Right.
And that's where you're gonna find true confidence.
It's a lot of fun. Like for me, that's one of my favorite things with the guys is seeing them like making that little jump and like being there, just kind of watching them from aside, seeing those jumps being made and just seeing how they react to the situations. Because that's where you really see greatness, And each person's greatness is different, right? Like the level of greatness to each person's gonna be different. But I love that, man. That's one of my favorite things. Literally my favorite things.
Oh yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Like that's one of the things that we talk about all the time of how the reason why when guys come in young to us, like we're fortunate that we're getting guys that are okay. He's going to be early committed. This kid's really bought in all that stuff. But I've dealt with that so many times with guys. Right? It was funny when they put out the stats of the 14-year-olds or the 1%. All that stuff. I was like, oh, we have 3 of those guys. But the fascinating part through the years of that type of stuff was that when you had those guys when they were young, the moment they moved up to USHL or NA, right, they would struggle in the beginning for the first 3-4 weeks. They were freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, like, holy cow, this is so much faster, decision making, blah, blah. But because of the work we had done for so long, they were instantly able to turn the switch and go, now I get it, right? Getting a kid to buy, listen, right now you shoot this way at this level. It's all good, but pay attention. Like you have to develop this other way of creating shots because when you get there, you're not going to be able to do the same stuff. You don't have the ability. It's all good, but you have the ability to do it this way. And you remind them, and you're managing them, teaching them habits, all that stuff. Then when they get there, it's like a switch goes off. Okay, gotcha. Whereas other guys that come in from when they're already at USHL, they're already at that level. It'll take us all 3 to 6 months to get them, to convince them, to teach them until they get to that point. It could take a whole season before they finally go, I get what this is now. I get it. And it's always worth the work. In the end, they always figure it out. It's just some will figure it out a little bit faster than others. But at a minimum, the difference of speed, right? Like we all know, we were just talking about the other day of how every player's career is going to die at some point. You're on the clock. You only have so many, right? I'm only going to get to this point, right? Clock is, buzzer's going to go off.
Right.
And that's the part that players can't appreciate of, well, if I start doing stuff at 18, 19, it's going to be a lot more difficult than if I start doing stuff at 14, 15.
Right.
And that's the part where it's like your behavior, your commitment to what you want to be. If you don't commit to it till 19, 20, you're in trouble. It's going to be really hard. But if you commit to it at 14, 15, 16, well, now you have this window of people and opportunities and things that are going to come to you because you've got a lot of time still in front of you to show, look, this is my truth. This is what I do, right? Whereas those other guys, they're not showing it. Coach hates me. I don't know why I'm on the first line. And you spend time, and you're in that place. 3 weeks go by, a month goes by, go to practice, just go through practice, do whatever. You just wasted 3 months, 4 months of your life.
Right.
You've got a small life in performance as a player.
Right.
You got a small shelf life. So you just took 3 or 4 months because you weren't controlling what you can control.
Right.
You were controlling your day-to-day awareness of what I can do. You just let the world, you let technology, you let your parents, you let everybody else make you think thoughts that were just thoughts. And that's the reality of that, the whole piece to it, right? Of understanding, of like, there's no escaping any of it other than, okay, when you know and you're aware of your process and you know what you're doing, you can quickly adjust. You can make things happen, right? And having that influence is so important. That's what the control what you can control, we were just talking about this the other day, of where control what you can control, the biggest misconception about it, the reason why I work so hard at the environmental factors is because I can control, I'm gonna come here and work out. I can control, I'm gonna work with him day to day, right?
My cell phone over here.
I'm gonna put my cell phone over here. I can control those things, but I can't control what's gonna keep going around me. I can't control that call I'm gonna get from a parent who just heard from some other person, the way their kid's being treated. I can't control everything else that's going on the outside. But I can control the factors that, as each day progresses, to know, hey, here's the things that keep me dialed in. And then when these things pop up, okay, well, let's talk about it, let's adjust, boom, and go from there. But if all day I was surrounded by the same noise, and I wasn't putting this away, and I was in there, right, and I wasn't taking care of myself and doing this, and I'm not doing anything to strengthen me and make me stronger, and I'm not dialed in on what I want to do, I'd be the same as everyone else, right? Selling the mission statement online. Come to our organization. Look at the players we have. Look at who we've committed. Look at it. That's not what changes players today.
Right.
What changes is I'm a part of your environment and I see you're real and what you're doing is, wow, I'm inspired by you.
Right.
You're legit. I'm in. You're tough as hell. I love it. Right? I've had our guys,
Right.
my best players, turn around. They were like, I freaking love going with him.
Right.
Then other guys that then hear from other guys, this is stupid. Right away I know, oh, stupid, you're not my cup of tea then.
Right.
Because I know how hard it is, the challenge in the beginning. It's difficult. It's hard to become the best. It's really hard.
Right.
It's really hard. But if you devote your time to people and the environmental factors and surround yourself with that the best is, and you control that part, you eventually turn into the best.
Right.
But you've got to be very intentional about who you're around, what you're doing, what the lifestyle that you're creating. That's the lifestyle. If anything I could change of like lifestyle is mental performance. It's the same exact thing. It literally, it's you're managing how you're going to live your life and how you're going to do everything. It's mental performance.
Right.
Just something dumb. People talk, oh, it's about your lifestyle, right? And we try to segment things. We like to put everything in its little compartment. Yes, I can do stick handling courses, and awesome. I'm going to go do a stick handling class. Great, I'm going to do strength and conditioning. Awesome. People don't understand. No, it's holistic. It's holistic.
It's a puzzle.
It's a puzzle.
Right. They're just puzzle pieces, and it's it's funny because it comes back to developing all those. It's kind of like so for myself, like from the strength conditioning and movement performance side of it, right? To me, it's funny when you see someone else doing the drills that you do, and they think to them it's, oh, you guys are the same. Like I saw the same. No. He does the same drills that you do. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. It's all out there. Like it's not the stuff that you do may not be,
The ingredients are all the same. Yeah.
exactly right. Like it's the same thing as when you go to a chef, like you said, from an ingredient standpoint. Yes, technically, every chef has the same ingredients in front of them, for the most part.
Right.
But what it comes down to is how do you put this stuff together? It's understanding your puzzle, and that's the biggest part for me. Is that there's a bunch of puzzle pieces here. Coming back to what you were saying is with stick handling, great, you were fantastic. So like, cool story. So my brother, I remember growing up. My brother and I, he's 6.5 years older than me. All we would do, like when I was little, and this was honestly for me, it was great. For him, it was a little too late for him. But for me, like I was like 9 years old, going against a 16-year-old, and we're in a small circle, and all we're doing is playing keep away. All we're doing is play keep away, and I would play keep away with him for like hours throughout the whole summer. I remember I get out, and then I was also doing other things too. I was younger, so like stick handling was great at that age, and you could do like a skin move and do all kinds of fun things. Anyway, but for my brother, him having great hands didn't mean he understood the game. Didn't mean that he understood how to put all those things together. He could skate well. He could do this. He could do that. He couldn't put the different things together. Sorry, bro. But that's the thing, right? It comes down to, in every situation, is yes, you can have the best coaches in specific areas, but if you don't understand how to put it all together, go from the game performance piece, right? When it comes down to it, you have to understand how to put it all together and actually use it. Because in every situation, it still comes down to, yes, there's an application standpoint, right? It's huge.
Bingo. Exactly. It's knowing how to. It's one thing to get coaches and people surrounding you. It's another thing to know how to coach yourself.
Right.
And that's the skill. You have to know how to teach yourself. In the end, that's the skill. That's the greatest gift any of the coaches can give. Right? Is if we can get the players to understand how they can coach themselves now, and they know how to look at their life in those pieces and go, this is good for me. It's good for me. This isn't. Now, this is. Oh yeah, definitely need to do more of this. If we can teach them that, right? Then it's like, it's simple, right? Convincing a player, you have an amazing shot, but you're a terrible passer, right? It's just what it is. Like your passing just isn't there, but you still want to keep passing and trying to do it when you have an amazing shot, right? Something that simple in mental performance. That's one of the things, like from a game standpoint, that we always talk about with guys, that we have cases like that where it's like you're done passing because you're limited to how many plays you can make in a game. I've got 100 plays I can make in a game. 100, that's it. Everybody has their amount of plays that they're going to make, right? You can count. Go watch your video and say, how many plays did I make in today's game? Right. Now, do you understand, are you managing those plays? So if I keep making this pass 10, 15 times a game, and every single time it leads to nothing, then it's the same thing. I'm just doing something that does nothing in the game because I'm so bad at it. Whereas my shot that I only use 5 times a game, then now that I put the attention into doing that more, well, now I'm doing that 15 times, 20 times a game. I just elevated, and everyone's like, wow, I can't freaking figure it out. He looks amazing, blah, blah. It's like, no, there's nothing that got figured out other than he realized inside the game, you're going to shoot anyway. You're going to do that stuff. It's just, you're good at that. Now you're thinking about how to do it from the corner, from the front of the net, from the different ways of how to utilize it, the plays, right? Like that's such a big thing in our culture. Like it's about knowing I'm doing this because it's a play that I'm making, right? I play the game. There's a play that this is going to create in my performance. So I work on my stick count, my skating, and all my shooting because there's a play that's associated that I do often in the game, right? That's the part that so many, you see like the skills world and all these other things that we don't focus on the instincts. Don't fight the nature of what a player is, especially at higher level players. They're all good at something. They're already good. They can all skate, they can all shoot, they can all, if you had no pressure on them, they can do all that stuff already. They can do all the things. The reason you put pressure and the reason you challenge them is you challenge their instincts of how they make the play in the game. Can you teach them that? I'm like, listen, man, you got a great shot. So let's go work on different scenarios. How are you going to communicate to your teammates? Where do you see the patterns of where you are to use that shot? How can we create an environment when we coach you right now to develop that so you work on those exact things? Because that's what you're going to face 2-3 times a game, guaranteed you're going to get in that position. Right. We want to make sure that when you're in that position, you're successful now. Instead of 20% of the time, you're successful 80% of the time. Right. If now that's just one play. If we mold it around 2 or 3 other plays, you're legit now. Right. And so name of the game.
Vinny, so like, tell me, man. So like in that situation, Huck Hog goes through the ranks of from every level to every age group, right? So if a guy now, I'm just trying to
of course, 100%.
So like now you got a guy who you're telling, all right, I want you to shoot, because obviously every time you pass, it doesn't go.
Exactly.
What does the player now have to do to get his line mates to understand? It's not that I'm trying to put all the attention on me, but that this is from a percentage standpoint, this is a better situation. So if I'm in this position, know that I'm going to shoot. Exactly.
How
do they, because there's obviously guys on the team that are thinking, well, dude, I need my points.
100%. That's why collaboration is so important, right? Groupthink and all that stuff. It's been proven, right? That if we just keep talking about what we're doing, right? Because it's going to lead to meaningful conversation. If I keep talking to you, like in the beginning, it's some guys, it's just lack of maturity, and it's, oh, he's not listening and stuff like that. But what we know in sales, right, is 7 or 8 times. If you hear the same thing over and over again, you're eventually going to like, okay, hey, for some reason I'm paying attention to that. Right. So we teach the players, like, you just have to keep communicating and be patient. Because eventually what happens from those collaborations and those discussions is now you want to give that other player something to them as well. That's the key to it, right? We always say, hey, okay, you're asking for that to happen, but what can you give him? Right? That's the part where it's always that transformational conversation has to be about us, not transactional, where it's just like, well, I'm just telling you what I need and that's it. Right. You have to be aware of, well, he's going to want something too with it. And so the more you can say, hey, listen, man, you've got an unbelievable shot, man, right? He's got a great shot too and I got a great shot. Awesome. You know what? I love to shoot from this position. Great. Then let's work on, hey, you've got a great shot from that position. Right. Let me take what I've learned and what I understand about this and help you now to understand how you can do it. And let's use your shot because your shot's legit too. Right. Oh, you think so? Yeah. But you have, it's got to be like that. We're sitting there and we're talking to each other like we're in this together. Too often, right? Players, I'm open. You're open. There's 3 layers of players. Yeah, I know it feels like you're open, but like one of the things that from a mindset perspective, we tell our guys all the time is think in terms of how can I help? Right. Don't think you're open. Think where can I go to make that pass feel really easy for you? Right. That's a shift in perspective because now you're getting frustrated because you think you're open, but if you actually look at the game and we look at the film and everything like that, you're not actually open the way you think you're open. Right. Like that, you can't appreciate. Do you know how hard it is for that player with their back turned to you to have to turn around and get that puck to you? Right. Think about it. If you were in the same position, how difficult is it to make that play? Yeah, it's pretty hard. So why would you think then, if that's hard for you, why would you think then he's going to make that play just because you feel like you're open? Right. But what if you just change your position and went above it, and now it's just an easy pass to you? What does that create now? Now that you change your position, instead of 3 people, now it's literally an open lane to give it to you. Isn't that a better strategy? Right. And that's speaking a different language in a lot of coaches' philosophy and stuff like that, because it's like, I said this, do it this way. And players don't, again, right, when they grow up, are we teaching them that way? Are we teaching them to collaborate and all that stuff? Like I know one of the things we talked about it, we went through it, with the kids, even when we were with the 08s together, right? We can't control the offense. We're not gonna try to control the offense, that's impossible. We can control defensive side of the game. We can do some stuff defensively, right? We're gonna put things in place. But the offense, I've totally changed that philosophy. Face-off, zone entry, I'll give you guidelines. Here's some guidelines, but you guys have to collaborate and you guys have to figure it out for yourselves, talk about it, come up with ideas, because you're the ones out there that are feeling it and going through it. I can't tell you what to do. Right. I can teach you how to collaborate and communicate to, here's some high percentage ideas, but you're gonna have to go do it. And that's such a powerful way of doing it. Right. But how many players out there can say, yeah, I'm collaborating, I'm talking with my teammates, we're always talking about adjusting, because that collaboration takes months. Right. In the beginning, it's gonna go one way, but then after 2, 3 months, 4 months of meeting, boom, we're kicking ass.
Right. And that's the chemistry piece, right?
Huge. Yeah. Riley, what you've experienced with that too?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of PV teams with playbooks. Hockey is like, it's not like baseball where you hit the ball, you have to run first, second, third. You have, hockey, you don't know where the puck's gonna go. Right. No one does. So how can we draw up a play like it's football and say, okay, execute this play? What if the puck doesn't go back, but it goes to the side? Now what? Right. There goes your play. So it's better options. This is how we want to play. But I think just teaching guys to play off the puck. I see, when I watch games, youth games, kids don't move when they don't have the puck. It's easier for me to make a pass if a guy slashes behind Vinny this way, as opposed to standing over there by that fan, saying, hey, I'm open. So I think that's the biggest thing. So coaches don't stress that, but they'll stress a play that they saw from the University of North Dakota. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, we talked about this many times, right? We make the argument, it's like, you're watching NHL games. Great. It's cool to see the influence of it, but it's the NHL. It's the equivalent of looking online and going, wow, he's lifting 1,000 pounds. Awesome. Are you gonna go walk in now and go try to lift the same 1,000 pounds? The movements and the thought process is the same thing. You're on the ice with a bunch of guys that know how to think at that level together. Right. The energy of that together. It's grade school theory, right? Everybody's energy is a 95, 97. You're still at a version 63. and they're all 95, 7s. They're at almost at the best of what you can just get, right? And it's all in the same playground, same environment. And now this kid watches it and goes, oh, I could do that. Like one of the things I pointed out was the Mcdavid move what he did.
Dude, that was insane.
That was insane because of the circumstance of what happened, the situation. You know how many players are out there right now trying to make that move, and that's all they're going to invest their time into now? They're just going to work that move till they're blue in the face. And it's like, did you look at what happened? Right? I did the first video, was like, oh, beautiful on. But then pointing out, I'm like, be careful. Be careful going to work on that move, because if you go to invest 5 months of time into a move that happened just because when O'Reilly got on the ice, he was at the blue line, flat-footed, standing still, and Mcdavid, the fastest guy in the freaking universe, is moving, coming at you. So he got flat-footed in that position. So it was all circumstantial. It's a reason it's called a highlight. Because when Mcdavid got the puck at the red line, he looked at him and goes, you're done. He knew it at the red line, you're done. Right. I'm about to cut in and cut out because I see you're flat-footed. Right. But if he would have been with him, that idea would have never went into McDavid's head. Right. But when McDavid saw where he was, he's like, you're finished. Right. That's why he came in so confidently this way, because he knew, he's like, oh, you're toast, dude. I know how strong my skates are. I know how good my skating is. I'm about to do this and turn you inside out. Right. It wasn't because McDavid works on that move all the time. It's because his speed is so good that he knew, I'm about to manipulate you this way and go this way because you don't have the energy to catch me.
Right. But before he could use his speed in his hands, his mind worked quickly to process what's going on. So I think that's the thing that McDavid, everyone talks about his feet and his hands, but it's his mind. He's got a fast mind.
Bingo.
He's got the whole package.
Yep. Quick
feet, quick hands, quick mind.
Exactly.
So before he could do that move, what did he do first?
Saw exactly what was going on.
Exactly. He processed what was happening and what he was going to do.
Bingo.
Before he made a move with the puck.
Exactly.
Before he crossed over.
Exactly. And that brings it into another non-negotiable, is creating my vision. That's exactly it. Because he's had so many instances where you have to have a target. You have to know. I want to play in the NHL. I want to play Division I. I want to get this. I want to be a good shooter. I want to be a good puck handler. Okay, you have to have a vision for yourself, the target, right? Well, this is what I'm going to be. Boom, that's what I'm going to be. So now, all the other noise gets cleared away when you know what you want. And that's what guys like a McDavid, Crosby, any one of them, Matthews, you take your pick. They come to work every day knowing, I'm going to improve this. They're targeted. There's nothing else. They know exactly okay, I'm going to keep getting better at this to the nth degree, right? It's such minor changes. Like now, I've evolved into when I do my journaling process at night and in the morning. The differences between those two is literally it's to the nth degree, because I know there's just small little tweaks. You know what? Like yesterday of getting up in the morning, right? So I'm getting up in the morning, I go out, I do my thing. Now I'd like to turn on the headphones, I put 30 songs, inspirational songs in a playlist, and I hit them randomly, shuffle play, and I go around the neighborhood, 6 songs I get out of it, right? But one thing I noticed in my process was I lost about 5 minutes yesterday morning because of just, what am I going to wear today? It's kind of cold out and stuff like that, and I lost a few minutes doing it. So last night, I prepared everything, put it there, so when I woke up, put the clothes on, and I was right outside right away. I regained 5 minutes. But I noticed a nuance of, I just lost 5 minutes. Like, because by the time I went out, I'm like, oh, it's 6:17. Why did it take so long? Oh, by the time you got your water and you got your clothes, I'm like, no, it doesn't work. This morning, 6:04. From wake up to headphones, I'm out. Now I got that time back to be able to do other stuff that I want to do. I make sure I have time before Naomi wakes up and the brigade starts and all that stuff. But that's the same thing in terms of players and their performance on the ice. They're always looking at, how can I make that more efficient, a little faster? What can I tweak? What can I change? And that's the day-to-day process, is you're always looking at fixing the bugs, update 3.2, 3.8, 4.1. It's never ending, right? If there's one lesson we can take away from technology is the update, right? Update my app. Keep going. Like, you're always updating. We're getting older, right? For me, right? We can chirp that I'm over 40 and all that stuff, right? But it's true. Like, my vehicle, my phone, I'm trying to freaking plug in. I've got the freaking iPhone 6. I've got the 6 model, and I'm still trying to play like the iPhone 11, like the rest of you got young guys with it. So my updates, man, I gotta take care of my phone, I gotta wash that thing up. I gotta do a lot of stuff because I'm not an iPhone 11. So my updates have to be, like how long, freaking my shoulder and all that stuff. But I adjust, update. Okay, do it this way now, do it this way. It's not gonna stop me from doing it. I gotta do it differently. I gotta update, tweak, and all that stuff. Because I'm fully aware of, hey, I'm an iPhone 6 trying to stay inside with making sure that the models keep getting up there and up there. But there's an advantage to be an iPhone 6. I got a lot of experience. I got a lot of data in there that that 11 doesn't have.
Yeah, I love my 6S. It was the best.
That was the original like Cadillac. Just a good strong
It was
model.
just a strong model. Yeah.
I miss the flip phones.
The
It's simple, just close it.
beeper.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a beep.
I thought I was so cool with the slider. Did you guys ever see? Did you remember the slider phone?
No, which one was that?
It was so Samsung had this like
It's a
slider.
razor,
So
yeah.
literally, I felt so cool. I'm like, zoom.
Oh yeah, you could slide it up, right?
Yeah. Or like you get a girl's number, bloop, back down. They're probably like the Matrix. Sorry, Kayla. So let's jump to. I'm really excited about. So when we started talking and kind of putting this program together, that specific places across the U.S. have something like this. I'm really excited that we're gonna have a little program like this here, and kind of the first year kind of starting off, and I know there's only like 6 spots left, but I kind of want to jump in a little more on the program of for the summer from an on ice perspective, from the game performance perspective. So like how are the two beasts coming together, and what are the players looking for? What is the criteria? What are you guys looking at with that?
Yeah, so the big thing, right, it's that obviously we want to work with players that want to work.
Right.
So you've got to be a highly committed player, right? Like I work very hard on my process and stuff like that, and so I'm already kind of like a geek like that, right? So because the environmental factors that we talked about, right, we're going to produce that. But the big part of what we're helping players do is to identify what matters the most, right? So it could be simple things like identifying physical movement pattern. That could be the thing, like you talked about earlier, is that could be the thing stopping you. Well, how does that translate to at a high speed and a high rate, right? Of where that's what John's excellent at, of being able to look at it and go, how can we maneuver that, the mobility in that movement and weight transfer, positioning, hands, feet, whatever it is, head, and understanding what to do with that, right? It might be something decision making that we identify inside, right? It's that, hey, if you want to make this choice and make this play, in a given situation, you're going to have to think about it like X, Y, and Z. Right? So providing those solutions to understand, well, that's what you're gonna have to train to make it become automatic and all that stuff, right? Or maybe it's something emotional, right? I go into the front of the net and I struggle with that, or battling in the corner, struggle with that, and how do I go in there and change that up, right? So it's the little intricacies of that, but we help players identify initially, what does that mean, right? By using game film, journaling process, all these different things, right? To help them understand what is it that you wanna take away in this 8-week span that's just going to be non-negotiable. And when you come back, you're not going to have to think about this thing anymore. But when you perform, it's going to pay off big time. Right. This is a part of your performance that's like huge in your game, and it's just going to make it easier and easier to be able to do, right? And then, you have anything on the identify piece?
No, I think for me, like, time is valuable. So that even applies to hockey. How many times do you really touch the puck in a game? And the higher the level, you don't get the puck very much. And then guys start realizing that. Different than youth and high school. So my thing, how I teach, is how can you get more time to make decisions? Exactly. So if you have like half a second or a little less than that, you could probably get another full second, maybe a second and a half of with the puck on your stick to make a decision. And that's where the skating and the mobility comes in, right. And the quick decisions and your hands, obviously. So that's kind of how I look at it when I'm teaching. Is how can we give you more time?
Right. Exactly.
Because right now, you get the puck and you don't have any time to make decisions. Right. Turnover.
Exactly.
How can we fix that?
Yeah. And that's the first part of the process. You got to be able to identify what that is.
Yeah.
Right. So we help them do that. Right. Become aware of that. Then we get into the direct phase of it, where it's like, okay, now let's come up with a plan. Right. let's provide you with creative ideas of how to do it to get you to believe in it and buy in, right? But directing it. Right now, it's the day-to-day process of like, all right, well, here's the plan. We're going to work on it. Is it working? Is it not? How can we adjust it? Right? And giving you the ideas, right? To look at it. Well, in this scenario, I could do this and that one, and then you build out that game plan, right? Because you need somebody on that end of like to look past where you're just looking at it by yourself.
Right.
But what's great about the group environment by doing that with all these other high-end guys that think like that or that are committed like that, right? Is that you're feeding now off of each other. Right, because we're going to be watching film together, we're going to be collaborating, talking, discussing, well, what are you doing here? And by doing that, it's providing more direction because you're going to get the influence of, you might have a pro guy talking with a high-end, youth kid that's like, oh wow, I never thought of it that way. And the pro guy's going to be able to say, well, yeah, this is what I do in these scenarios. And then a youth guy's going to go, oh, wow, that's cool, I never saw it that way. Boom, makes a tweak. So providing that direction, the environment is going to be huge, right? Because it's when you're around a bunch of animals, you become an animal. Right, and that's the idea behind it is that, okay, let us help direct you in that and guide you and provide the environment. So you just show up and we're going to have video set up, all nice, whatever you need, coach, everything's there for you to set up and you don't have to think. You're just going to do your process, right? And the last thing is the accountability, right? Owning it. It's like, we're going to help you own it. It's like, you said you want this. You said you want this. So that's why we mean by highly committed, the process of what's involved in it, it's a highly committed process. It's not just simple show up and that's it, right? It's not a, hey, I'm coming in and skating for an hour and 15, that's it. There's actually a lot of time that surrounds it. Besides the hour 15, you're looking at probably 3 hours a day of the time that you have put into what that process looks like. Right. So it's not just simple, we go out and like a typical, let's go out and skate and do skills and it's all over. It's just not our style. We want you to walk in and be very thoughtful about what you're doing, but we want to hold you accountable to it. But I know there's gonna be times it'll be uncomfortable for some players, but that's the point. Right? It's not comfortable, but you know that. You know what you signed up for. And that's the kind of animal we're looking for. It's like, I want to take my game to that level. I don't understand, not good, great. That's that'll be basically what the whole idea behind it and what we're doing on the ice and laying it out. Very individualized, but utilizing the power of the group to lift each other up, to teach each other, all that stuff, which is super powerful.
That's awesome. Now listen, I'm pumped. I can't wait to see it because I know it's going to be nothing but results. And I think that's the big part with it too is that, everybody wants to have fun and fun is important, but at the same time results is what really, because listen, you get on the ice and you have a good time doing some stuff that you're good at and you keep kind of like working on that kind of thing. But at the end, when you go to your season and you didn't get any better, it means nothing. So there's nothing like results,
Fun is winning through development.
Right.
That's
yeah. I think it's easier to build than change something. Like, it's a lot easier for us to build habits into someone that it's going to be really hard to change the fact that you just had a bad season.
Right.
Like, no one can really change that. It's going to be hard you're stuck with that now.
Right.
All scouts know it.
Yep.
School you're going to knows it, or whatever the case is, and now it's hard to change that. It's easier to build it when you're willing to do the work.
Right.
So if you put in 8 weeks of work, well, that's a lot easier than trying to change something that's already done.
Exactly.
So.
No, I love it, guys. I'm excited. Guys, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for everything that's coming forward because it's just. So we'll have the link in the below, and then we'll kind of go from there. But I'm excited for this, and take it from there.
Likewise.
Yeah.